Will Jason Todd learn from his tumultuous past, or will he only be forced to repeat it? Well, let's hop into the pages of Batman White Knight Presents Red Hood #2 and find out together, shall we? So then, picking up from where the last issue left off, Jason Todd was in Backport. He had made friends with a young girl by the name of Gon who had been running around in a Robin costume trying to protect her home. It took some time, but Jason ultimately took a shine to this girl and decided to train her in the art of being a Robin, if for no other reason than proving to Batman that he could be a much better friend and mentor than he ever was. Of course, Jason's style of tutelage is a lot more different, a lot more blunt, a lot more violent, and a lot more straightforward. Not that Gon complains all that much. In fact, we learn about her Mongolian heritage and her parentage situation in this issue. Unlike the other Robins who were orphans, Gon is something of a latchkey kid. Her dad works 2 jobs ever since her mom couldn't make it back from Mongolia. Gan thinks that her training is going really well, and to celebrate, she presents Jason with a gift, a little commemorative token of their first meeting back when he beat up the Stoplight Gang for booze money. She thinks if they're going to be teaming up to defeat Shriek, then Jason is going to have to protect his identity with a little bit more than that ratty red hoodie he brings around everywhere. Now, you think this is going to be a sweet little moment of mentor and mentee coming together, only that's not what happens at all. Jason basically ends up having a PTSD flashback to the first time he put on his Robin costume. The moment in his life when it all went wrong for him, and well, he can't possibly think of putting a costume on ever again. In fact, he starts getting really guilty over everything he's done to try and teach Gan. After all, what did being Robin do for Jason's life except for ruin it, leave him with emotional and physical scars that will never heal? How could he possibly ever try and do that to another person? Gan is understandably heartbroken to be rebuked by Jason, a man that she respected so much in this way, so much to the point she decides to run off and deal with Shriek on her own. And no, the irony isn't lost on Jason at all that in his attempt to try and be a better Batman and create a better relationship with Robin, he basically just ended up creating a little mini-me version of himself. Gan is angry and reckless just like he was the night he was kidnapped by the Joker, and Jason refuses to let history repeat itself all over again. Now back over with Gan, she sneaks into the Silencio Club, and we discover that she's added a new weapon to her arsenal, a Mongolian bow and arrow. Oh, what a cool little nod to her culture first and foremost, but also Robin Hood, one of the greatest archers in all of fiction. How has it taken a Robin this long to include a bow and arrow in their arsenal? I mean, I assume Green Arrow doesn't exist in this universe, so no one's gonna sue this girl for copyright infringement. Gon gets the drop on Shriek and fights valiantly, but he ends up being much too much for her to handle. In fact, in a nice little bit of characterization for William Shreik, he says that he knew full well that Gon had been following him this whole time and that he never intended to use any of his Sonic villain stuff here in Backport because it was a nice place to live. But now that she's on to him and his evil deeds, he's going to have to end up destroying the entire city block just to cover his tracks. It's here that Red Hood makes the scene and is able to help even the odds. In fact, we get a nice little callback to the previous issue where he tells Gon to work on her ground game. Also, while we're here, I really like what they do with Shriek's suit here. It's a nice little evolution of what we saw in the Batman Beyond cartoon. It's just a lot more angular. Probably because this is a prototype and the real suit isn't quite there yet. One of the major structural flaws with this suit, too, is that it has a lot of wires hanging off it. In fact, Gan uses the wires to bring Shriek down by tangling them all up inside her bicycle, which is actually a fun payoff to something Jason said earlier on, that you can't defeat a supervillain like this with a bike, you need a Batmobile, only she totally did beat him with a bike. Of course, as villains like this tend to do, Shriek doesn't go down easy. He explodes and brings down the entire building with everyone inside. Jason just narrowly manages to dig Gan out of the rubble. And while the day is saved, and while she'll certainly live, Jason just cannot live with himself and how all of this turned out. He basically walked a mile in Batman's shoes and does not like it at all. And so, in a very interesting bit of life coming full circle, Jason goes back to what he knows most, stealing cars and running away. He even has a whole big shouting match with himself in a reflection wherein he ends up seeing a younger version of himself as Robin and Batman. He decries Batman for never coming to save him, and how that none of this would have happened if not for him. But then we actually smash cut to the present where we see an older, more mature Jason who realizes that blaming other people is no way to live his life. Now, you'll remember in the present, Jason had actually come to a karate studio to try and recruit an older Gan to help him track down the missing Batman. Gan obviously has a lot of complicated feelings regarding Jason, but she's also lived a whole life ever since he left. She says that after she got out of the hospital after the battle with Shreik, she completely changed her approach to helping the community. No more closed fists, instead open hands. She decided to fight crime and criminality at its root causes. And it was actually working pretty well for her too. That is, of course, until the jackbooted thugs of the GTO decided to make their presence known in Backport. Gon agrees to get her old bow out of storage and help Jason take the fight to the bad guys. In fact, we also see that she kept his grappling hook around this whole time, just knowing that he'd probably come back one day. And so that was Batman White Knight Presents Red Hood issue number 2, everybody. A fun conclusion to this really interesting little 2-pack of stories. I like how they organically grow the White Knight universe by filling in a lot of blanks. I like how this is actually going to circle back and seemingly be important to the Beyond White Knight story that's going on right now. I really like Gan as a character. I dig the whole Forgotten Robin angle, and I would say as far as original characters in the White Knight universe goes, she's right up there with the Starlet. It's also pretty damn impressive, and I gotta take my hat off to the whole writing team on this one, that Jason basically had more development in 2 issues of this story than he has in the mainline DC universe, and Christ, I don't even know how long. And it's so simple too, just to get to hear Jason say, you know what, I don't blame Batman for my problems and shortcomings anymore. I'm an adult now and I need to take responsibility. Being mad at your metaphorical father as your only character trait gets really old really fast. And letting Jason have his own sidekick and essentially see Batman's point of view with his own eyes is a really clever idea, and something I'm shocked they never actually tried more of in the main universe. Overall, I'd give this one another very positive 8 out of 10. If you're a Red Hood fan, if you're a White Knight universe fan, if you're even a Batman Beyond fan, I think this little 2-pack of stories is really gonna be good for you.
Hey there everyone, Kate Joel again, and I just want to thank you so much for watching to the end of the video. It means a lot to me. And hey, if you enjoyed the book I covered in this issue and want some comics of your own, might I recommend Book Depository? It's my #1 place for shopping for comic book trades. You get a great price, and if you use my link down in the description, you'll actually be helping me out at the same time. You get something, I get something, everybody wins, right? So until next time everyone, I've been Joel, and I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye.